Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Trump Trolls Trump, our weekly opportunity to mock Donald and his minions. It's been another busy week. I guess we're sort of in training for the upcoming Trump administration. And I guess it's fitting that the felon in chief was back in court this week for a sentencing. Check this out.
At a hearing just moments ago in Manhattan Supreme Court, New York Judge Juan Merchan issued his decision. The sentence, unconditional discharge covering all 34 counts. Here's what that means. No prison time, no fine. As expected, this is the most lenient sentence possible. Mr. Trump was not there in person, but he did appear virtually on a live stream into the court just before the sentence was handed down, calling this, in his words, a very terrible experience. Remember, Mr. Trump was convicted last May on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in what prosecutors said was an attempt to cover up a $130,000 hush money payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Again, this morning, Mr. Trump has denied any wrongdoing. And now, a milestone, one that makes history. The president-elect is now officially a convicted felon 10 days before his inauguration.
Okay, let's put this in layperson's terms. The sentence? Nothing. And yet, all Donald did during the time in which he was given to say his piece was whine about it. Look at this clip.
This has been a very terrible experience. I think it's been a tremendous setback for New York and the New York court system. This is a case that Alvin Bragg did not want to bring. He thought it was, from what I read and from what I hear, inappropriately handled before he got there. A gentleman from a law firm came in and acted as a district attorney, and that gentleman, from what I heard, was a criminal or almost criminal in what he did. I got indicted. It's incredible, actually.
Just the idea of being held accountable in the smallest possible way was just too much for Donald. And after the sentencing hearing was over, he took to social media to post the following quote: "The radical Democrats have lost another pathetic, un-American witch hunt, coordinating with the Biden-Harris Department of Injustice and lawless weaponization and bringing completely baseless, illegal, and fake charges against me. I was given an unconditional discharge. The result alone proves that there is no case. There was never a case. Today's event was a despicable charade." Or did he say charade? I don't know. But it is just absurd that this guy is complaining about anything. And it shows us what a thin-skinned little bully he is. So that's what we have to look forward to for the next 4 years. There's a lot more to cover, but before we get there, please take a second to like and share this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. And after you subscribe, hit the bell so you can be sure to be alerted anytime a new video drops. It is free. If you're listening to the podcast, please follow us and give us a 5-star review because it really does help other people find our content. All right, back to it. As you know, President Jimmy Carter was laid to rest this week. Donald, for reasons that I don't understand, quite frankly, was invited to the funeral. It's unclear if he saw the guest list before he got there, but there were some unexpected surprises for him. Check this out.
As well, there is Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Al Gore, the former vice president, Pence and Trump, it's the first time they've seen each other since January 2021. A lot of tension between the two then, and it didn't look particularly warm just now, one might observe.
Tension? Why would there be tension? It's not like Donald incited a mob to hang a noose and threaten to hang Vice President Mike Pence. Oh, wait. Yeah, that actually did happen. The idea that Pence shook Donald's hand, again, like the civility, like, stop being so fucking polite, people. He's a monster. And this is why you don't invite thugs like Donald to events like this. In a room full of, let's say, mostly decent people, because George W. Bush was there after all. There was a moment of silence, and people put their hands over their hearts to honor Carter. People did, but check out what Donald did. Well, perhaps he couldn't find his hand. And we know he doesn't have a heart. So, like, what difference would it possibly have made? Biden gave a eulogy. He and President Carter were very close. And he actually managed in a very subtle way to call Donald out. I think you'll enjoy this.
We have an obligation to give hate no safe harbor and to stand up to what my dad used to say is the greatest sin of all, the abuse of power. That's not about being perfect, because none of us are perfect. We're all fallible. But it's about asking ourselves, are we striving to do things, the right things? What values? What are the values that animate our spirit? Do we operate from fear or hope, ego or generosity?
Wonder why Donald suddenly started paying attention after President Biden mentioned people who are just in it for power. I don't honestly think he cared what Biden said, but he did recognize that somebody was talking about him, which probably made it worth his while to pay attention for a couple of seconds. Anyway, a couple of days before the funeral, Donald held a press conference at Mar-a-Lago on the day that President Carter's coffin was brought to the Capitol Rotunda to lay in state. Here's a clip of Donald speaking to the most pressing issues of our time.
The windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously. They also want to go back, and they have already started that, to when you buy a faucet, no water comes out because they want to preserve. Even in areas that have so much water, you don't know what to do. It's called rain, comes down from heaven. And they want to do, no water comes out of the shower. It goes drip, drip, drip. This guy loves electric. And we don't have enough electricity. And then we have AI where we need more. And he wants everybody to have an electric heater instead of a gas heater. Gas heater is much less expensive. The heat is much better. It's a much better heat. As the expression goes, you don't itch. Does anybody have a heater where you go and you're scratching into? That's what they want you to have. You can have all the water you want. Makes no difference. It comes weird, especially in certain areas. We have so much water, we don't know what to do with it.
Is that really an expression? I mean, I'm sorry. Like, sometimes I confess I'm not entirely sure how we're going to get through this. Bear with me. I'm beginning to think that Donald's special nickname for himself is the whales, because there's only one person who seems to be getting driven crazy by windmills, and I don't think it's. Sorry, it's been a really long week. I don't think it's our large mammal friends under the sea. Also, I didn't realize that there were different kinds of heat created by electric or gas, or I mean, just get a friggin' humidifier, or do what we used to do in the olden days. Put a pot of water next to the radiator and you're going to be just fine. Maybe, Donald, you should go to a dermatologist. That would be my recommendation. Also, I actually find it offensive when he talks about things. Well, okay, I was going to say something completely different, ridiculous. I was going to say I find it offensive when he talks about things about which he knows nothing, but he does that all the time. But specifically things that have no impact on him. When has that man ever put a load of laundry in a washing machine, right? So as if that weren't enough, though, Fox just decided to pile on and put up the following chyron when covering this brilliant insight of Donald's. Yes, that's right. Donald is here to fix your bathroom. I personally wouldn't let him in to try. So we also know that Donald, during that same press conference, reiterated his expansionist ambitions to take over Greenland, of all places, By the way, Greenland does not want us to do this. And I think Donald did the one thing that guaranteed that Greenland would never, ever cooperate. He sent his oldest son, Donnie, to Greenland. Look at this.
Donald Trump Jr. and a band of Trump loyalists landed on Greenland today to promote the president-elect's dream of turning the vast, frigid island into the 51st state.
Just incredible scenery.
Don Jr. handed out MAGA hats and got his dad on the phone to address a group of locals at a restaurant in the capital, Nuuk.
We're going to treat you well, you know that, and just take care of yourself.
Yes, we're going to treat you well after we take over your home. Okay, so first of all, did Donnie and Charlie Kirk constitute a band? And also, like, I think the whole time Donnie was just looking around at the beautiful scenery, wondering if he could find some wildlife to slaughter. As it turns out, and this should not surprise anybody, the event was totally staged. That's right. A bunch of Greenlanders who see a mark coming from a mile away got paid to be there. Now, I personally would never wear a MAGA hat no matter what you paid me, but Greenlanders don't care about making America great again. What they understood was that they could take the cash and Greenland would be made great again as soon as Donnie got the fuck off their homeland. Anyway, we are learning from Elon Musk that his pet project, Doge, also known as the Department of Government Efficiency, will not actually be able to cut $2 trillion from the federal budget after all. Wonder why? Well, one reason perhaps for those of you keeping score at home is that the discretionary spending of the federal government is about $1.7 trillion. So that would have been impossible. That doesn't mean, though, that Musk and his fellow billionaire Ramaswamy won't make a play for Social Security and Medicare, as well as other vital programs, in order to fund more tax cuts that will benefit obscenely wealthy people like they are. Seriously, who could have seen this coming? But maybe Elon's time could have been better spent. Instead, he was blaming the smelt. That's a little fish, by the way, for the California wildfires. Watch this clip if you dare.
Yeah, we really need to have fire breaks, and we need to clear the brush back away from houses, and we need to make sure the reservoirs are full. These are all kind of obvious things, but due to a bunch of environmental rulings, you can't actually do that in California. So they're not allowed to do the fire breaks, and they're not allowed to push the brush back away from houses because it might hurt some, like, red-legged frog or something like that. You know, it's like some sort of creature, usually a creature you've never heard of, that is preventing this from occurring. There's like this fish called the smelt, for example, so we have far more freshwater runoff into the ocean than we should, really, and on the theory that it helps this one little fish that likes a slightly briny freshwater saltwater mix.
Well, here's one creature I wish I'd never heard of. I'm never sure why anybody listens to him. He doesn't know anything. Everything he said was a lie, was disinformation. First of all, the reason that some fire hydrants temporarily lost water was because of insanely high demand for water, given the extent of the fires. Caleb Scoville, who's a professor of sociology at Tufts University, my alma mater, highlighted that California's reservoirs, especially those in Southern California, were at or above historic levels. So they were completely prepared in terms of available water to fight these blazes. Scoville also dismissed the accusations that the Delta smelt is to blame for environmental problems or any wildfire challenges, noting that protections for species like the smelt may limit water pumping, but have no impact whatsoever on water management or Los Angeles's fire readiness. Scoville also called the smelt-related claims a distraction from the climate crisis and California's very, very complex water policy issues. He said rightly that blaming protected species, first of all, gets people off the hook for discussing the actual culprit here, which is catastrophic climate change, and basically advances stereotypes about environmentalists who allegedly prioritize species over people, which, by the way, they do not. I'm pretty sure environmentalists want to protect the environment for all of us. And yet, somehow, despite this insanity and this inanity, it's Donald and his enablers who are calling for a return to common sense, as evidenced by this ridiculous clip from Laura Ingraham.
President Trump, Senator Thune, Speaker Johnson, all should travel to Los Angeles. Help California. Help them save themselves. Politicians out there aren't going to do it. After these fires are put out, it's time for California to come home with a return to common sense.
Okay. Well, first of all, California has the 5th largest economy on the planet. They don't need to come home if they don't want to. Secondly, you guys hate California. It is a very, very blue state, and it always will be. So I'm sorry, but I just do not think that anybody in California should want to be under the sway of the Trump administration. So thanks for that commentary, Laura. But again, another right winger I don't understand why anybody listens to. Finally, wrapping up this week's episode of Trump Trolls Trump, we have this is actually shocking to me. Apparently, somebody thought that it was a good idea to make a documentary in a limited series about the life of one of the most vapid people I've ever come across. Yep, that would be Melania Trump. To make it worse, Jeff Bezos of Amazon Prime fame is throwing $40 million in licensing fees at Melania. Most of that money will go right into her already very full pocket. So I think we need to call this ahead of time. Put this on the top of your list for do not watch. This is definitely a Netflix and do not chill. Look at this clip.
Jeff Bezos just announced that Amazon Prime will release a documentary about incoming First Lady Melania Trump later this year. Promotional materials promise, quote, an unprecedented behind-the-scenes glimpse into her life.
The flick comes amid billionaire Jeff Bezos' very public move to align closer to President-elect Donald Trump. This follows Bezos pouring $1 million into Trump's inauguration fund, dining with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and blocking the Washington Post from endorsing any president during the 2024 election cycle.
Yes, I'm sure it'll be incredibly riveting for all of us to watch her buy expensive jewelry and do her skincare regimen. But I won't be watching, so I won't know. Anyway, that does it for us this week. Thank you so much for joining us for Trump Trolls Trump. We will be back Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern live for Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. And again, please like and share this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and click that bell so you will be alerted anytime a new video drops. If you're listening to the podcast, please follow us on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and give us a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our shows. Thank you again so much. In the meantime, please stay safe and be kind. See you soon.